this meeting, the Grosse Ile Township Board of Trustees. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:40, running a little late due to a study session. Call the meeting to order. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, again, we wrapped up a study session on our, hopefully, our improving website. The meeting is called to order. This time, we're going to handle additions, deletions, and I'm going to begin asking the board to please add a closed session for pending litigation. It will be added on to the end of the meeting, so the board, anyway, I move that we, after this meeting, we retire to closed session for the purpose of reviewing pending litigation with our township attorneys. Support. Okay, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. Any discussion among the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of adding a closed session at the end of this meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. It will be added. Any other additions, deletions to the agenda?
Mr. Supervisor, I have not discussed it with anyone, but have we made a decision as to changing of our meeting time from 7:30 to 7? And if not, can we do so this evening?
Okay, the motion is we would like to add changing the beginning of the meeting time to 7 o'clock from 7:30.
That's correct. That is my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Trustee Smith. Some background, real quick, discussion among the board?
Go ahead.
Discussion for me is I don't like adding anything on the agenda last minute unless it's required, just so it eliminates people from having their input in it, or potentially eliminates people from having their input on the idea. So I don't see that there's a need to add this to this meeting tonight, but if that's what the board chooses, that's what they choose.
I would prefer to see it as a discussion item, give time for the word to get out to the community and get feedback, but that's just my input now. Any other discussion items?
No, I have no problem with changing it to discussion item.
Well, we've got one motion, then we'll finish that motion, maybe add a second one. Those in favor of changing the meeting time to 7 o'clock from 7:30 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
Nay.
We need a roll call? Would you like a roll call?
The motion was to add it to the agenda, not to change the meeting time.
What I meant was those in favor of adding to the agenda. So that motion, I believe, fails. And would you like to introduce a second motion?
I'd like to introduce the second motion, the same wording, except making it a discussion item. I had assumed that we had discussed it at some point during our last township board meeting.
Looking for a second? Okay, seconded by Trustee Smith. Same topic. I would like, there's a valid topic for discussion. Any other comments from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of adding a discussion item, moving the start time from 7:30 to 7 for our regular board meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries. It will be added as a discussion item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Posiak. Any other additions, deletions to the agenda? All right, with none offered, those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda stands amended. Okay, before we go into public comment, I have a brief statement to make. On Friday, April 19th, Treasurer Van Oss and I met with our legal team to discuss how we would continue to proceed through this phase of the accident investigation process. To date, I have not been advised of any punitive action by any office of the state of Michigan through any official channel. Any expectation of disciplinary action against any township employee is, at this time, unwarranted. Neither I nor any member of this board will engage in any public discussion of this topic until we have official information to work from. We will keep you advised of the status of the process as the facts allow. With that being said, I'll now open it up to brief public comment, limited to agenda items.
Mr. President, does that also apply to action items or just agenda?
Tonight is just action items on any item on the agenda tonight, Mr. Zalasko.
The action items fall under that?
Yes.
believe it's Bob Zelasco, 9746 Blauvelt. I believe it's action number 5 for the dust control. Just like to make a few opening comments. First of all, thank you to the board, the commission, and the department for the attention that you do give to this project. Being one of the residents that live on one of the remaining 5 dirt roads on this island, I can tell you how miserable it was before we had this dust control. It was so bad that I used to wear a mask before I'd go out and cut my grass because the cars passing by the dust was so bad your lungs would burn. It was very detrimental to your health. Also, a few comments. I have people that visit my house throughout the summer that live in neighboring communities on dirt roads. They always comment on how complete and well our dust control program is. They make comments to the effect that we have 2 and 3 applications every year and we still don't enjoy the dust control that you have here. What's different about your program? Just observations. Number 1, the knowledge and the persistence of our team that research and come up with the product, and the people that put the application down. Number 2, the product itself. Being somewhat of a novice, Wally and Bill are more experts on this, but it seems when you put this material down, it bonds. It's not like sodium chloride. It bonds. It takes the molecular structure. Even today, from last year, that road still is encrusted and reduces the amount of dust. So the material itself is very important. Third, the people who put it down do an excellent job. The people that we select and give this contract to, they're not stingy when they put it down. My road gets 1 application, maybe 2, maybe 3, and that's key to putting it down and laying it down heavy on that first application. And once this stuff takes, I think that's the reason that we don't have to go back and redo it throughout the summer. So anyway, my compliments to the board, the commission, and the department, and I want to thank you for a job well done and the attention that you give to this. Being one of the people that live on a dust road, I want you to know it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zlasko. Other comments on agenda items? Mr. Clark?
Woody Clark, Park Lane. You said there was nobody charged, but in the Eel Squeal, we saw the couple charges of $3,500 and one for $49,000. If that's not getting charged, I don't know what is.
That's exactly what they are. They're in the yield camera. It's part of the process. We haven't written any checks yet. It's part of the process.
Okay. So what is you think the process is going to be soon, or are we going to be out like the bridge bullshit?
It's going to take what it takes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Clark. It's going to take what it takes. Other comments on agenda items? All right. With none offered, we'll move to the consent agenda. Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 13-049, which is to approve the minutes of the April 8, 2013 regular meeting and approve the check register dated April 19, 2013.
Second.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Vano, seconded by Clerk Ranka. Any comments from the board on the consent agenda? All right, with none offered, those in favor of approving the consent agenda as published signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda stands approved. On to action items. We're going to keep the treasurer busy tonight. By the way, in terms of roll call, Trustee Budney is excused. And I should have said that at the opening remarks.
Yeah, he did pick the night to not be here, that we've got about 11 action items. That should be his department. Thanks, Jim. Hope you feel better soon. This one would have been mine anyway. I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Fulbaum to the Brownfield Authority for the term length April 22nd, 2013 to April 3rd, 2016.
Second.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Vano, seconded by Clerk Ranka, the appointment of Mr. Fulbaum. Questions, comments from the board?
Just one comment. This probably should have been done when he was approved to the commission at the last meeting. It was overlooked. Everybody that sits on the Commerce Park Commission also sits on the Brownfield Authority because 99.9% of the brownfield work that's done here is done on the airport. So all of the commissioners, for one, is sitting on both commissions. So it's just housekeeping, really.
Okay, other comments from the board? None offered. Those in favor of approving Mr. Falbaum to the Brownfield Authority for the term April 22nd, 2013 through April 3rd, 2016, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again, Mr. Falbaum. We'll be getting plenty of work out of you. On to action item number 2, and I will ask Mr. Posiask.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is always a sad one when you get a resignation from a committee, especially when this person is a hard worker like this young lady was. This is to accept with regret the resignation of Pat Selby from the Greenways Open Space Committee effective April 22nd, 2013. And
Second.
Okay, the motion and by Trustee Posiask and seconded by Clerk Ranka to accept Mrs. Selby's resignation. Any
just a little bit of background.
Yes, please.
Ms. Selby has been a very, very important part of this committee, and she will be sorely missed. She's a workhorse. She is really, really a great organizer. And unfortunately for us, she has job duties that are going to take away a lot of the time that she was formerly able to devote to the Open Space Greenway program. And so I look with sadness about this resignation, and I hope that we can find someone that can fill those shoes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Posiask. Any other comments from the board? I know she will be missed. Okay, those in favor of accepting with regret Mrs. Selby's resignation from Greenways Open Space signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. Pat, thank you so much. On to number 3.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that we proclaim the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2013 as Municipal Clerks Week, and to recognize the essential role municipal clerks play in the local government, and to adopt the following proclamation.
Eric, I got a point of order.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to introduce Municipal Clerks Week. You're the municipal clerk. I wanted to introduce municipal, but like Eric just said, so I'll second it, but I'll pick it up from there. Let me read the proclamation. Pat your own back. Come on. Give me a chance. Okay. Municipal Clerks Week will be May 5th through the 11th of 2013. And whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk, a time-honored vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of the Municipal Clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, country, and international professional organizations, whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of the Municipal Clerk. Now, therefore, I, Brian Loftus, Supervisor of Gosseo Township, Michigan, do recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2013 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Eric W. Ranka, and all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Dated the 22nd of April, 2013.
Support.
Seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. That's sorted out. I'll open up with my comments. The clerk's office holds the papers, the records, the information. Usually it's the go-to shop for any municipality that you have questions with. It's where you start. Normally you branch out from there. And every other township I call, there's somebody answering from the clerk. Supervisors are usually part-time. And, of course, we're going to extend this support to your deputy. So, thanks, Eric. Other comments?
Just really quickly, that obviously it's the professionalism that we have in the clerk's office through Sharon Gray and Brian Friel is second to none. So all of the, most of the good work is done by Sharon and Brian.
Noted. I think any other comments from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of proclaiming the week of May 5th through the 11th of 2013 as Municipal Clerks Week, and to recognize the essential role municipal clerks play in local government, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. Well done. Thank you.
Tom, do you want me to handle this next one, or do you want to handle it? All right. I'd like to make a motion. Yeah, so I folded it away. Let me bring it back. I'd like to make a motion to, based on the request from the Recreation Commission and a recommendation from the Township Public Services Commission, the town would request the Township Board approves the use of drainage funds in the amount of $38,400 for drainage improvements at public recreation facilities.
Support. Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Ost, supported by Trustee Malvesto. Mr., would you like cover it, or have Mr. Rooney cover some of the recreation?
Well, Mr. Rooney can cover it. I'm just going to say that the Public Services Commission looked at this a couple of times. At our last meeting, we voted in favor of it, and basically it is going to be utilizing drainage funds to correct some pretty critical areas that are currently recreation areas, but township owned. So, Tim, you can explain what they are.
All right, Mr. Rooney.
Go over it real quick here then. Thank you. Over the last few years, the Recreation Department has tried to take care of a couple of drainage problems, or actually 4 drainage problems at 2 of our facilities. And this year, during the budget sessions, I was encouraged to possibly approach the DPS Commission, because they have some drainage funds and we don't for our facilities. And as I went through the process, people know that the farm and Water's Edge are used heavily by the Groseal community, especially the farm, a broad spectrum. Water's Edge is a little more specific, but it's growing and used from of other recreational type activities. The first facility is the Centennial Farm, and I would say this is the primary project, the dog park and playground area. And that is a project cost of $10,600 with engineering of about $2,000. The second area, if you know where the recreation building, to the east of that, between the outdoor horse arena and the rec building, there is about $15,000 worth of drainage and $2,800 in engineering. It's been a problem for a while, but a lot of community groups use that facility. And then at the Water's Edge facility on the east side, south of the road, would be the hole number 3. There's a pond there that drains that whole area of land, and that's pretty well clogged up, grown over the years. And then the pond, as you go on number 9 on the north side, as you bend towards the river again, there's a pond. And we've tried probably 3 or 4 different processes as it's detailed in there, and we haven't been able to accomplish that. We need to go in and do some dredging and work that way. And we're looking for support, and I'll show some quick pictures here.
Are you going to fill that water hole on number 9 and cut out of my golf ball expenses?
No.
So I should improve my aim? Is that what you're telling me?
Enough golf balls that maybe you won't need to fill it.
There you go.
That's the dog park. It was even worse last week with all the rain. You can see where it's creeping over to the playground, and then a lot of groups hold fundraisers, and they use that whole area outside of the dog park.
Could you zoom that in a little bit, just so I don't know how well this gets broadcast at home, so that.
Thank you.
Yeah, better. Thanks.
And this on the left there is the outdoor horse arena. We did quite a bit of drainage work there, and then we've had some problems. Overall, when the township first took over the farm in 1997, there was huge drainage problems everywhere, and the township's done an incredible job. But as the use has grown throughout the farm, we run into these drainage problems. Not that it was poorly done, it's just we keep expanding our uses there. And that's the hole number 3 there. And that drains everything in that area, and it's pretty well clogged up. And then that pond, Mark Tiso, does a lot of the work around the ponds. As you see detail, we've tried several things, and we just can't seem to overcome it. And he knows his stuff when he's working with those ponds. Over 5,600 people used the activity building last year, and you can see all the different Groseal groups that use it for fundraisers, and we have families that rent it for graduations and birthdays and hockey parties and gyra and Gisa parties and registrations, and so it's a very important facility, and just to finish up those 2 drainage problems would really help.
Okay, from the board, questions, comments for Mr. Rooney? Now, the dog part is extremely popular.
Yes.
Addendum we have for our public facilities, so Don Muddy Paws coming home. Other comments for Mr. Rooney? All right, with none offered, those in favor of, approving the use of drainage funds, the amount of $38,400 for drainage improvements at the public recreation facilities, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. Nice work, Tim. Time to start draining. Okay, moving on. Number 5.
I'd like to make a motion to extend last year's contract for D&B Emulsions Incorporated for dust control services for the 2013 season at a rate of 58 cents per gallon applied for dust bond based on recommendation of the DPS Commission.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oos and seconded by Clerk Ranka. Some background?
Yeah. Mr. Zalesko made a comment about what a great job this does. And basically, as we've used this over the years, and the DPS Commission, I believe it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, decided to go away from the calcium chloride to the dust bond. And as you apply it year after year after year, the results get better and better and better. And last year, we only had to make 1 application. And a lot of that was because of the continuation. We're hoping that this year we can get away with 1. We may need 2 at the end of the year, depending how dry the season is. But as you keep utilizing this product, which doesn't get absorbed, it actually bonds to the material. Each year it gets a little bit better. And we've had great success with it. It's a little more expensive, but we have great success with it.
Okay, thank you, Treasurer Van Oos. I, too, live on one of the less than paved roads, or other than paved roads and it really does work. I mean, it just works. So some of it's still there from last year. I've been happy with it. Other comments from the board?
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Posias.
I've seen this applied since its first application, and was probably its biggest proponent. The material was something that in a previous life I used to sell and thought it was great. Interesting thing about everybody's observation of how it gets better and better, every year you have to go in and break these roads and grade them so that the emulsion you apply this year gets applied and locks together what you've broken. So it turns out to be kind of like bad asphalt when you're all done with it. So I'd rather have a bad asphalt road than a muddy road, and it works. It just works.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Posias. Other comments from the board?
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Malvesto.
in the past, I believe Wayne County has come through and graded these roads before we did the applied dust bond. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And there's,
Yeah, they will do that.
yeah. And the other thing I'd like to say is that I want to commend D&D Emulsions, although I have absolutely no idea who they are. But where it says, due to the economy, we've kept the price the same as $2.12 to help cost for your township. I appreciate that. That says a lot to for a contractor that's trying to work with us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Malvesto. Other comments from the board?
I think we ought to just give a little bit of thanks to our DPW manager, who did a lot of politicking to get that job done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Barry.
Duly noted. Other comments? All right, with none offered. Those in favor of approving the contract with D&D Emulsions for dust control services for the 2013 season at the rate of 58 cents per gallon applied for dust bond based on the DPS Commission, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. Thanks, gentlemen. On to number 6, please.
I'd like to make a motion to extend GV Cement Contracting Company's 2012 contract for concrete paving repairs for the 2013 season, based on the recommendation of the DPS Commission.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Us, supported by Trustee Smith. Some background, sir?
Bill, would you come up, give us a little background on it? There's a little history, and this is all tied into the millage that we receive on road repair.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of the DPS Commission, I'm pleased to be here. Well, we took bids last year for cement concrete repair throughout the community, and as you can see, the GV Cement Contracting Company was the low bidder out of 7 bids that we received. You have attached a summary of all the bid quantities. So what we do is we bid various quantities for different thickness of slab replacement or crack, where they might cut out a joint repair and so forth, and possibly some curb work. So what the commission has done is we had our April drive-through a couple weeks ago. We've given the engineers our priority list, and they're going to go as we speak. I hope they've already done some of it, measure up the quantities. So we'll be bringing back a report to you with the budget of how we're going to spend the money. But since they offered, they gave us an excellent price last year. They did good work. They got in. They put up their barricades, made the repairs. A week later, took the barricades down. I can tell you they got Gray's Drive done just before the first football game. They were good to work with, and their safety precautions in the field was good. So they were easy to work with. So we're recommending that we proceed with them this year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kostick. Any questions, comments from the board? So we've worked with G&V or GV last year.
Very successfully.
I'm amazed at the spread on the bids. It's almost 100% addendum to the next one of the next companies, but if we're happy with their work and they're the lowest bid, I mean, those are two good things. Are there any comments from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of extending to GV Cement the contract for the extending the 2012 contract to 2013 season to GV Cement Contracting Company, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered? Motion carries. Thank you. Obviously, the DPS has been busy. So thanks, guys, and thank you, Mr. Kostick. Moving on to number 7. And I'll ask Mr. Malvesto to introduce the bid for our fire marshal's replacement vehicle, and Chief, be prepared to tell us why it's a good deal.
I'm sorry, I got a little out of sequence here. Apologize for that.
I'm checking to see if I missed one, but there's a lot of them on there.
No, we're fine. Okay, proposed motion is based on a recommendation of the Fire Commission and the Fire Chief. The replacement of the 2004 Expedition to be awarded to Gorno Ford based on the Michigan State bidding process. Vehicle replacement cost of $30,490.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Malvesto, supported by Trustee Smith, and now you're on, Chief.
This vehicle right now, as it stands, has 90,000 miles on it, and it's in need of repair work. And what I decided to do was go out and get some pricing on vehicles, and I did compare this vehicle to the Chevy product that was comparable to it, and the Chevy product, believe it or not, was about 10 grand more under the state bid process, so chose to stay with the Expedition. Also, the reason for the timely replacement is the value of the current Expedition, the 2004. Gorno's people have offered us $7,000 in trade on that car. So I was looking at it from a fashion of, while I was still getting some halfway decent money out of the old truck that's coming up due anyways, it was a good time for us to replace this vehicle.
I want to make a point. I get calls, questions from time to time on why is the fire marshal, they interchangeably use the term the fire chief, the fire marshal's vehicle parked at a restaurant? Why is he at the hardware store? And these guys are on duty 20, we have 2 full-time professional firefighters supported by 30 or so volunteers, but they're on duty all the time. We need the big expedition because you've got a full rescue kit packed in each one of those. They will probably be the second one on the scene, usually a police car. The police are there first, and you or Russ are right behind, whichever one of you is closer. Those vehicles don't sit still much, and yes, they have to take them home, and yes, they take them everywhere they go because they respond from wherever they are. So if that saves me making a call back in the future or you having to explain why your vehicle was at the hardware store, I hope it helps. They're on duty 24 hours a day.
I've gotten those same calls, and at the end of the day, Russ and I, the fire department, myself and Russ, patronize every business on Grosseal extensively. We do work with the hardware, the bakery, the restaurants out here. Anybody that we can do business with on Grosseal, we do business. Occasionally, we have lunch off the island.
I did get that call,
I got the same call.
Sometimes you're meeting with other fire chiefs, and you're going to be there
Or we're on
in
our
your
way
vehicle.
home from a meeting, we'll stop in and have lunch someplace. So, yes, that does occur.
Anyway, that was a side note, but that's why we have to replace these vehicles, why they're so important, and why you see them around town where you do.
Yeah.
All right. Now that I'm done with that, any questions or comments for the chief or for Mr. Malvesto from the board? Mr. Ranka?
Just one question I had. The question I had is what fund is this coming out of?
Equipment.
Equipment fund?
Yes.
Any other questions? All right. Those in favor of replacing the Fire Marshal's 2004 Expedition, contract awarded to Gorno Ford based on the state bidding process for a vehicle replacement cost of $30,490. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered. Wonder if I can get one for...
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
For $7,000, you can have the old one.
We'll probably even leave the siren in.
I'm thinking about it.
According to the chief, it's probably cost $30,000 to bring it back into, drivetrain work, suspension work. It's
Don't give out too much information. They might change the buyback price or the trade-in value. Okay, let's move along.
I'd like to make a motion to
Mr.
award...
Treasurer.
I'd like to make a motion to award the bid to Industrial Fence, the lowest bidder in the amount of $17,583 for furnishing and installation of aluminum chain link fence sliding gate at the Grosseal wastewater treatment plant based on the recommendation of the Charles E. Raines Company, Township Engineer, and reviewed and approved by the DPS Commission.
support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oust, seconded by, Trustee Malvesto. The background?
A little history on it. As you know, we've been moving forward with some security in the sewage treatment plant. We've recently approved some cameras. I'm not sure at what stage that's in. And right now, anybody can drive back in there. There's millions of dollars worth of equipment. And so this gate will be, have a TV camera, one of the cameras pointed at it, so that if anybody comes to the gate and wants to enter the plant, he'll have to ring his way in, and the people inside the plant will have to open the gate to allow him in. In the past couple of years, or past 5 or 6 years, we've had the incidents where one of the plant operators have turned around and one of the residents or one of the local fishermen were standing inside the plant wanting to look around, and we needed to tighten up the security, and this is just the last phase of that. This will tighten up the security in that facility.
Okay, other questions, comments from the board? All right, with none offered, I know this is an ongoing security program, and it is important. Those in favor of awarding to Industrial Fence the lowest bidder in the amount of $17,583 for the furnishing and installation of an aluminum chain link sliding gate at the wastewater treatment plant, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That motion carries. Tighten it up. Number 9.
You guys are going to get sick of me here. All right, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Charles E. Raines Company Township Engineers to prepare the engineering cost estimate and solicit bids only for the Park Lane water main extension just north of Wood Drive to Horse Mill, based on the recommendation of the DPS Commission.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss. Seconded, I'll second it, seconded by Supervisor. And explanation on looping a system.
Well, this is just a continuation to improve water pressure in that area and for some potential building area. And this is just to go out for bids, to do the engineering costs and go out for bids. I'm not sure the length of that run, Bill, do you know?
620 feet.
It's a run of 620 feet. The DPS Commission has reviewed and approved this and sent it forward to the board.
And this is going to extend the existing water main that's on Park Lane and tie into the Horse Mill water main, so we will have that portion looped, which is, obviously, it's our objective to have the entire water main system on the island looped for basically water quality and controlled pressure for firefighting, if nothing else.
Correct.
So, any other questions, comments from the board as we continue to improve our public services? All right, with none offered. Those in favor of preparing engineering costs and soliciting bids for the Park Lane water main extension, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. We will continue improving our system. Last one.
Last but not least, and this one, throw rocks at somebody else. I'd like to make a motion based on the recommendation of the DPS Commission to approve an adjustment to the water and sewer rates for the sewer from $2.60 to $3.12 per 1,000 gallons, and for the water from $7.22 to $8.09 per 1,000 gallons, effective April 1st, 2013.
Okay, I have a motion from Treasurer Van Oss. Who wants the tip? I'll second it.
All right, just by basis of history, last year we received approximately a 14% increase from the city of Detroit. This year we've received another 4% from the city of Detroit on water. Last year we didn't increase the rates. We rode on past revenue sources. This year, based on the fact that we are doing some major work with a couple of engineering companies for water inflow, and the increased water rate from the city of Detroit, this will balance our budget for the upcoming year. We tie this to the water rate from the city of Detroit, but the reality is that this is really the way we balance our budget. The DPS water and sewer and refuge is an enterprise zone, and it costs what it costs to us, and we transfer those costs. This is operational costs, too. So there's a slight increase, but we need it to maintain our services and our infrastructure. So,
if I can make one point of clarification, those rates are established to balance the budget for the
DPS.
For the DPS, that enterprise function, and no excesses come out of there. No debits should go into there other than maybe a very short term. It is a self-funding operation. So the rest of the budget, I mean, there are various separate departments within the budget. That one pays for itself and provides a service. Mr. Ranka.
Thanks, Mr. Supervisor. And I wonder if you can just explain, just so everyone's aware of the way these rates are really calculated out, right? We have the Plant Moran study that was, I remember, it's either a 10 or 15-year look at projected water rates and sewage rates and all of the capital improvements that we need to take into consideration over that 10-year period of time. I wonder if you can just explain that process so people don't get the impression that we're doing this on a year-by-year basis, but this is a very long-term look at the rates.
Right. This is based on a study over a 10-year period. I think it's actually a 20-year period that Plant Moran looks at where estimates are, where should it go. We estimate what the future influence Detroit will have on us. Also, It looks at our bonding needs, our capital improvement needs, the age of our infrastructure. So this has a lot to do with water consumption, but our capital assets are huge in the, as far as the DPW, the water mains and sewer mains, and it takes a look at replacement, that we have to keep those water mains up to date, so as well as operation. So it takes into effect three things, not just what Detroit imposes on us, but it also affects everything else that we do with the Department of Public Works. And just to add, just what this is it's for the total bill of an average household, it raises about 10%. And we can continuously look at our rates as we're required to do so, so that we can continue with our infrastructure needs.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Marcy. Mr. Rankin?
No, that's it. I just think it's important that people understand this is not a year-by-year thing. This is a long-term project that incorporates a lot of money and a lot of capital resources and infrastructure that we have in all of our water mains, our sewer treatment plant, and delivering water to and from people's houses.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the board? All right. With none offered, those in favor of following the DPS Commission recommendation, approving an adjustment to the water and sewer rates, sewer to $3.12 per 1,000 gallons and water to $8.09 per 1,000 gallons, effective April 1st, the past April 1st, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That motion carries. Are you going to change the outcome of the vote? I'll give you the microphone anyway, Mr. Costa.
I think Mr. Rankin raises a good point, and I just want you to know that last year, every year we look at the budgets in detail and spend considerable amount of time. This is the DPS Commission. Last year, we looked at the budgets, we looked at the rate increases that were proposed, we looked at the changed formula Detroit's given us, where a lot of the amount of money we're paying now, which is almost $1 million a year for raw water, is now on a fixed cost basis. And it's going to keep going up. I think that fixed cost portion of it's going to keep going up. But we did not last year recommend a rate increase, because we're all understanding that every year we seem to be going through this, like all the other communities in the region. And I'll just wrap it up by saying, this year we spent over an hour and a half discussing rates. And I several months from now, I hope that we can come and have a joint study session with the commission, with the trustees, to look at a variable rate structure. Which
I didn't either, and I've got the only other switch as far as I know. Talk louder.
So at any rate, I just wanted to mention that we spent a lot of time on this, and thank you for that. We just don't do it without considerable thought.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Costick. For those, obviously we've had a lot of DPS action items. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Costick is the chair of the DPS Commission. Largest budget on the island and probably the busiest commission. So, Bill, thanks. All right. And we already voted on that, so let's move on to number 11, Mrs. Smith.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to adopt the following website policy dated April 22nd, 2013, as prepared and recommended by the Groseal Township Communication Commission.
Support.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Smith or Trustee Smith, and seconded by Treasurer Van House.
We do have Kathy Walker, Chairwoman of the Communications Commission, so if she wants to, if anybody has any questions, certainly she's here to give a background or answer any questions.
We are looking for support.
Turn it on and off.
Let me try cycling this. Try it now.
There we go.
Working. We are looking for support. Thank you, Trustee Smith. What is going on right now is we are in the process of updating our website, and to facilitate process, it would be wise to have a website use policy, and we have one posted currently as a temporary item on our website, addressing the linking policy, what we will provide links to, what we will not provide links to, regarding the tax and assessment data lookup, which is the BS&A, which is the majority of our website hits, and it's a very important database that we work with. And it just has been legally reviewed, and my understanding is it has passed with flying colors, correct? Township Manager, and we're asking for support to pass this, because we feel that once we have this set up, we can move forward in the very difficult process of creating the best website we can for the township at the best price. But we need to know guidelines, and we need to follow the process. Do you have any questions?
Okay, questions for Mrs. Walker from the board? This is obviously part of the study session we had prior to this meeting. So with none offered, those in favor of approving the policy as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. For those of you interested, it's on the township website as a proposed policy. You can look at it on your smartphones or when you get home.
Thank you. And can I say one other thing before we leave? Saturday, there is a fun run for Tails, and I know everybody wants to support the animal shelters, so if you can come on down, Ted will be there. We'll do a little TV show to give them a little support. They have a lot of animals to adopt, so bring your hearts and adopt someone. Thank you.
Now, there's one last thing I have to bring up. There are flyers for that in the back room. Thank you, Mr. Walker. And Tim, good to see you again. That will conclude our action items. Yes, we'll move on to the clerk's report. Clerk Rankin.
Mr. Supervisor, just really briefly, there was no official clerk's report this week, but there was a blessing of the bikes held yesterday at St. James Episcopal Church on East River, and it was a very well attended event. And I just wanted to put a thanks out to the church for hosting the event, and then also for the Crozio Police Reserves for being part of the event and going through some training and also leading the bike parade. So just thanks for that event.
Okay, thank you, Clerk Ranka. Move on, Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the month of March, Grosse Ile had $13,533,809 invested in various accounts. These accounts generated an interest income of $4,681 and change, with an average rate of 0.21%. Finance Office is working out to completing the fiscal data for year-end and the reports required for the annual audit. Any investment income, if you want to come down to the Treasurer's Office, see myself or Annette, we'll get you copies of it. The Treasurer's Office is selling 2013 dog tags. Please provide rabies vaccination when purchasing your pet tag. Cost of $6 until the end of January. Well, that's already passed, so it's $12. And dog park passes are available for $10 for residents, $20 for non-residents. The Airport Commerce Park meeting is on May 20th. That's our next meeting. And I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We'll move on to trustee reports. Again, Mr. Budney is excused this evening. Mr. Malvesto.
I don't really have a report this evening. I would like to say, however, that Mr. Kostick and myself took an opportunity yesterday to ride the bike pass. Nobody shouted out anything at it, so apparently we weren't recognized. But other than the fact that the fire department is looking at a new expedition to replace one of the current vehicles, that's all I have to offer this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Malvesto. Mrs. Smith.
Just two things. There was a good article in the Metro section of the Sunday Free Press talking about the Detroit River cleanup and focused on two Grosse Ile residents and their volunteerism on Fox Island, so that was good. The other thing is I wanted to mention that Island Fest is still seeking volunteers for the event, so there's plenty of opportunity out there for volunteers to come on out. There are applications located on the website, or you can contact the rec department for more information.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Mr. Posias.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm speaking with it. You can hear me better now? A couple weeks ago, our two commissions that I have the privilege of serving as liaison to had a joint meeting. It was the meeting of the Bike Path Advisory Commission and the Greenways Open Space. It was an open door, no TV, no format, brainstorming session. We've recognized that both of the committees have some common goals, and we've also recognized that both of them have some common problems. But we also have found some synergy between the two committees. And this is my opinion, I think it's shared by the committee chairman and several of the members who were there. As you know, it's been our burning desire to fill all the empty homes in Grosse Ile. We have too many empty ones, and filling those homes would be a real boost to our community. We have these commissions each promoting their own commission very well. We've got a bike path commission that's a year old, and I said if you want to run with this group, you got to run at 80 miles an hour. They're fast and they're ambitious. They've dealt with a brand new bike path, and now they are ready to deal with other issues on bike paths on the island, but they haven't put together a brochure or a promotional device. The only thing that we show there is a lot of raw ambition, and that's going to be channeled. Greenways Open Space, been around for a long time. It's, there are people that would say that, we now have no more use for this committee, and I disagree with that violently. It's not past its prime. It's now heading into a different sort of a stewardship. They have their own promotion, and they have put out something that you can see me holding it up, but it was mailed to all the folks on the island, promoting the Greenways Open Space. Grosse Ile Nature and Land Conservancy also happened to stop by the evening we had the open meeting. They have their own brochure, and a very nice one, by the way. I'd encourage you to take a look at it. It's called A Voyageur, and it's put together by their commission, and they're really, really touting Grosse Ile's open spaces, Grosse Ile's nature and natural additions. We're seeing the synergy that says each one of these groups is playing their own song at their own volume, and I'm trying to make an orchestra out of them. We're trying to bring together some sort of an effort that takes every one of these commissions and puts it into a joint presentation of the whole. If we could show the people that we want to make interested in Grosse Ile just how many great things there are about Grosse Ile, and each committee and each commission knows enough about each other's to be bragging about not only their own, but from everybody else's, I think we've got an orchestra. I think we've got planned now for another meeting within a couple of 3 weeks of both of those commissions. We're going to invite Grosse Ile Nature and Land Conservancy to it. I think that the Recreation Commission should add a couple of people to that meeting, because I think that they have channels and a great method of selling recreation on Grosse Ile. Let's get together. Let's put this thing together and make it a concerted effort by people who are on these commissions and committees for years, that know this island, that know its needs, that know its specialties, and sell it to the world. Let's get people moving here. Let's get the realtors involved in this. The school board has its own package. Do you see how this could, and Lauren's shaking her head yes, because that's right down her alley. But we had really, really nice results at that meeting, and I'm looking forward to the next one being bigger and better. And let's make this happen, folks. Everybody's got to help on this. We have got to repopulate those homes. Thank you. That's my report.
Well put. Thank you, Mr. Posias. Okay, well, that moves on to me, and I'm kind of all over the place because I'm cleaning up everything else. Thank you, Mr. Walker, for covering the Animal Shelters Fun Run and Walk next Saturday. There are flyers by the doorway. A couple odds and ends. Let's see, in Wyandotte, the Yak Arena, they have the Business and Lifestyles Exposition. There's also the black tie event. I will be unable to attend because I'm going to be in Lansing most of the time. But if you want to attend, most of it's going on Friday, the 27th. Again, flyers in the back of the room. Additionally, off-island art ambiance, an art exhibition, and non-juried miniature show. I want to get people in the mindset of judging art to lead into my next event. But that's May 3rd for the opening reception Saturday, May 4th from noon till 5, and Sunday, May 5th from noon to 5 at the Woodhaven Community Center on Hall Road in Woodhaven, not far away. Public is invited. Admission is free. There are also flyers for this. Promised Mr. Clark I would remind you of Dump the Junk, Find the Treasure, May 18th and 19th. Woody will be reminding us as it gets closer, but I want you to start thinking as you're cleaning out garages, basements, bedrooms, and who knows where else. You know, it's that spring cleaning time. Keep in mind, Dump the Junk will be available for you on May 18th and 19th. Okay, I mentioned art. Grosse Ile Alliance for the Arts celebrating their 10th anniversary with Just Ducky during Island Fest weekend, May 31st and June 1st and 2nd. Flyers for this in the back of the room. Just Ducky, they are ostensibly decorating decoys. I've given away 8 of my old decoys so far to potential artists, so I can't wait to see how they end up looking. Anyway, if you want to participate in that, there are flyers for this in the back of the room. And Carol wants me to remind you, you garage sale aficionados, August 23rd and 24th, contact Carol. She'll get you on the list. She already has dozens of people signed up. For your planning purposes, on April 25th, Thursday, we have been notified, I've been notified that the vessel Manitowoc will be delivering coal to the Trenton Power Plant. Proposed time is about 11. That's arrival at the plant, so plan on disruptions to bridge traffic from about 10 o'clock in the morning on, and the vessel will leave with several hours to offload, so probably later that evening there will be bridge closures also, and these aren't the 5-10 minute jobs to get a pleasure boat through. These will be half hours, so we'll try to keep you advised of when these are taking place. Listen to GI radio and plan accordingly. Let's see. Oh, the post office has, and you may have seen flyers for this, there's a big one at the entrance to Township Hall, the Letter Carriers Food Drive. I don't know if I have flyers for this in the back of the room. I'll just basically read it. The Letter Carriers Food Drive, Saturday, May 11th, 2013. Put your non-perishable donation in a bag by your mailbox, and the Letter Carriers will deliver it to a local food bank. Try to find some more information on this and get it on the website. But it's a chance to support the postal carriers and getting food to people who need it. And my final addendum tonight, MDOT provided us with a stack of maps, and there were, I guess they're gone already. Anyway, this is the upcoming construction season. We have more downstairs. If you didn't get one, I have a couple extras. If you want one, I can give you one right now. But for your planning purposes on your summer vacations, it's pretty detailed as to where the construction areas will be and the times involved, so it'll be a good map to have. And you know, I'm sure it doesn't cover everything, but it covers most of it. And we'll try to link to MDOT on the Township website so you can get up-to-the-minute stuff before you start on your trip. And that concludes my update. I'll turn it over to the Township Manager, Mr. Riem.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. One item I want to report on is this past Saturday, the Grosse Ile Kiwanis had an island cleanup, and there were approximately 50 volunteers, and spent Saturday morning cleaning the roadsides, the ditches, under the bridges along the canal, and it was a very successful event and speaks right to the idea of the community volunteerism, the open space, the trails, the conservancy, and all those items that were mentioned earlier. So thank you to Grosse Ile Kiwanis and all of the volunteers that participated. And with that, Finance Director Darznik has a few items to report.
Mrs. Darznik.
Now we're beating Moody to the punch and discuss the legal bills. The Department of Public Works approved legal bills in the amount of $13,475 to Shay Mack, who was our Maosha investigator attorney to date. And on the warrant list dated 4/18, there's legal bills to Katz for labor attorney in the amount of $1,261, and to O'Reilly Ranciano for our legal attorney, township attorney, in the amount of $7,325. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Darznik. Concludes your report? Concludes our report? Concludes the business portion of the meeting. We'll now open it up to, I'm sorry, Mr. Posiask.
You forgot a discussion item, sir.
Indeed, I did. And thank you for correcting me.
Mr. Supervisor, I just would like to say that at the end of the minutes last meeting, to correct my faulty memory, I checked them. Motion was Supervisor Loftus commented that the board is considering changing their meeting start time from 7:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. However, no decision has been made of yet, and I mistook that as discussion. I apologize for that.
Accepted. Let's go into this. And thanks for the reminder. It was only an hour ago, so let's move on to discussion of the possibility of changing the start time. I know Mr. Budney was interested in that. In fact, I think he initiated the idea. Any other comments, questions from the members of the board?
I've got two points I'd like to bring up. Number one is the 7:30 start time is one that I would like to stick with for two main reasons, and we can go into more reasons later. But number one is it provides time for the board to have study sessions beforehand, if possible or if required. And number two is the 7:30 start time provides residents time to get home from work and not have to rush home from work to see the meeting or to take place in the meeting if they want to be in the meeting. So I like the 7:30 start time.
Okay, thank you, Clerk Ranka. Other comments from the board on this discussion item?
I just was wondering if
Mrs. Smith?
if any of the department heads had issues with that, because certainly we want to kind of work around their schedules as well.
Mr. Rim?
I can make general comment. It's been 7:30 ever since we've been here, and whatever this board decides, we will gladly live with.
But you've lived with 7:30 for, what, since about 47 or so? So, as long as anyone can remember. Mr. Treasurer?
I really don't care. Fortunately, I'm retired, and I spend a lot of time here anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. But I do know that we have several people on this board that are still employed. If we move it to 7, and we have a study session, it could create a problem for these people to get here on time, put a strain on their working time. I would be in favor of leaving it where it is, but it wouldn't affect me one way or the other. But I would think that for these people that do work or still work, I think 7:30 is more realistic to get work done prior to our actual meeting.
Well, I can parrot on, or piggyback on that also, being retired, and, my time is the township's time. But we do have our managers, and we certainly won't make a decision until we've heard from them. And as Mr. Ranka pointed out, we still have members that are working, and if the time 7:30 works better to get a quorum, keep everybody participating fully, then I can certainly stay at 7:30. Other comments? Mr. Malvesto?
Again, much like Ted, I don't really have a personal preference, but I'd like to know what the department managers feel. 7:30. We do have study sessions, as Eric said, which is correct. We could start having, starting our study sessions at 5:30 be very difficult. So, although I can go either way, I prefer to keep it at 7:30. But I'd like to hear some response from our department managers as well.
Very well. Other comments from the board? Okay, I guess that will bring our discussion, the board's discussion, to an end. And with that, we'll move on to public comment. And we all know the rules. 3 minutes. Identify yourself. And Mrs. Walker raised her hand first. I can arrange that. Mrs. Walker.
Hi, Mrs. Walker, 26051 Thorpe Court. There is a Rotarian Citizen of the Year this year, and it is former trustee Pam Frucci. I thought you would all want to honor her and give her a little applause. She's served the community for so long, and she was my liaison prior to our new one, and I just think it's well-deserved, and I thought you should all recognize it.
That's been officially announced then. Well, it is now.
It was.
Yeah,
She was just a joy to work with, so I thought I would mention that to you all.
Okay, well noted, and congratulations to Pam. You'll see her presumably riding in a convertible at the Island Fest Parade. Well deserved. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Other comments? Mr. Lemoyne?
Good evening, and thank you for your time tonight. Steve Lemoyne, 8410 Hampton. One of the things that concerns me over the years of coming here before this group, some of the same faces up here and some of the same in the crowd, is I hear a lot of projects that are awarded to different contractors. And over the years, there's only one consistent group that I hear you talk about safety with when you do these awards. And it's concerning because I never hear that discussion outside of the carnival, and they have a safe record in what they do here for the Island Fest. So we hand out bike award contracts, we hand out other contracts. We never hear safety records. We never hear that discussed. And that definitely concerns me. And I don't know if that accountability rests with the township manager or whomever, but publicly, when you're not talking about that, especially from the folks sitting on this board, you don't even talk to the group out here about it, is concerning.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lemoyne. Other comments from the public press? Mr. Clark?
Woody Clark, Park Lane. Joey's not here, but maybe Bob can answer the question. The light at Chicory, I was over there today, and there was 3 ways, people just standing there, and it doesn't seem like it's moving anywhere. Chicory's clean, no cars there. On the other side, there's 6 or 8, and then on Parkway, it's backing up both ways, and we just sit there. I thought the system was set up, if there's no cars sitting there, the light is supposed to work to the other way.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Doesn't seem like it's doing it.
It's not perfect.
I know it's not perfect, but it gets old.
It doesn't work perfectly all the time. I wish I get stuck there. We all get stuck there sometimes and wonder why.
Yeah. Well, Joey says they keep on trying to fix it or something. Maybe Bob knows more about it.
Mr. Zalaska, would you like to?
Being a resident that lives on Chicory, that is a unique situation. What happens is, if a vehicle pulls out on Chicory and triggers a light, they are allowed to make a right-hand turn on red. That vehicle may be gone while the other vehicles are lining up on the other side. And it's a 20-second delay, because the Chicory, I believe, is 20 seconds to vacate. So that would be the situation that Woody may be referring to.
I know sometimes, and I'm sure it takes a lot longer than 20 seconds, but it's not perfect. But we'll pass that on to the chief and to Wayne County, and maybe the lens needs to be cleaned on its sensor camera. Can't fix it if we don't know about it. Other public comment? Okay, the gentleman who wanted to be last, so far you're last.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan Hocking, 8620 Stout. I just want to, my 3 minutes of free TV time, please. There's a public rally and a People's Assembly to Save Detroit, Saturday, May 4th, at 1 p.m. at Central United Methodist Church, 2nd floor, and it's on the corner of Woodward and Adams, and it's close near the Fox Theater, and if you don't know where Comerica Park is, the building's hooked to Chelly's Chili Bar. And I have some brochures here. It's a group of people. There's a partial list of endorsers, and I know most of them. I don't know. They're mad about the debt, the problems of Detroit. It has to do with servicing the debt, and in some people's opinion, they think that the debt service is being paid. They have to pay a debt when you have a loan, and it's extremely high. It says $16.9 billion in debt service, and $4.9 billion of which is interest paid to our banks, because of people have different opinions why this happens. Some people blame the big banks, Chase, Bank of America, and other banks. Those are the 2 biggest ones around. And but everybody has their opinion on what they should do. But I was just trying to bring attention that if anybody wants to ask me questions after, briefly, or take a brochure on what this is and who you're going to be associated with or what group. It's at Central Methodist Church. It's the oldest Methodist church in Michigan. It's not the oldest church. The Catholics on the southwest side church is the oldest, but it's been there for 1810. So if anybody needs to know exactly what more information, please contact me. I'll be around here. It starts at 1 p.m. and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hocking. Just in case you're not last, any other comment from a public present? All right, with none offered, I will, you know what, Chief, let me take one more second. So we're in a meeting with the attorneys Friday afternoon, and my phone rings, and there's only two people I'm going to answer, well, three, my wife, but the police chief, and the fire chief. I didn't get it quite fast enough, but Chief, would you see what some of our tax dollars are going to and what our volunteers are doing?
A couple of things happened over the course of last week. Friday, we had a water rescue out on the end of the south end of Hickory Island. 2 duck hunters and a 16-foot
Fisherman?
Fisherman. What do they call the little boats with the little bit of John boat? Got about 12 inches of freeboard, turned up into the cut and got swamped, and we got called out. That rescue took us all of about 19 minutes from the time of call. Without that airboat, these guys would have been stuck out there until the helicopter came from Coast Guard Station. So it was a very successful rescue, and it worked out quite well. The one gentleman is from Florida, and he decided to come up with a friend and fish the Detroit River during the cold months. He told us he'd never coming back.
We don't have sharks, so.
We had one other incident. One of my young firefighters, Chris Davenport, was coming back from Saginaw, taking his medic license test up there with my vehicle, and witnessed a pretty bad accident on I-75 southbound. And he took it upon himself to block traffic in the left lane with my vehicle, actually probably protecting those people from getting hit a second time, third time. State trooper showed up and asked him to stick around a little longer until EMS showed up. He rendered aid, and along with that, the state trooper said that is the brightest fire truck or car he's ever seen in his life.
Excellent.
So we've had some good things happen over the course of the week, and when you see those lights coming, it's important to pay attention to them. So there's a lot of good things happening for us this week.
Okay, thanks, Chief. We're all aware of the I can't say. I use the term tragedy for now in Boston. I think it overshadowed the other more devastating event that happened in West Texas. And again, another volunteer fire company went into what they thought was to suppress a major chemical fire when it wasn't hydrazine, it was ammonium nitrate detonated and instantly killed 4 or 5 of them. Anyway, and there are many other fatalities beyond that, but those firefighters were first on the scene doing their job. It's a dangerous business, and I can't say thanks enough to the guys. Don't pass up an opportunity to thank our police and firefighters. And with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to recess to closed session. Moved by Trustee Posiak.
Support.
Supported by Clerk Ranka. Those in favor of recessing to closed session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will take a short recess, meet on the hour in the second floor conference room. Oh, I'm sorry. They closed this section of the open meeting at, was it 54? 8:54? So noted.